Land of the free and home of the brave. The country I love is where I'll stay. Stay. Lord, this country, Lord, this land. Red, white, and blue, we'll take a stand. We love our guns, we love our truth. We love Abe Lincoln, not Hillary Clinton. I'm gonna go down south. Gonna see my mama put that pie up in my mouth. And I feel so free. Give me liberty. I want your eyes to see that we live in the land of opportunity. Land of the free and home of the brave. The country I love is where I'll stay. Just humor me. Amber waves of grain and purple mountain majesties. God, your jet is grace on thee from sea to shining sea. And that is where I love and where I always wanna be. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. I love you. Put the nozzle up, push the throttle down. Pick the bottle up while driving slowly through this town. All these demons in my head got me feeling brain dead. Need to find a bed, lay down to let my mind tread. Always living in a dream cause this life is too hard. I know this isn't healthy but this bourbon heals my scars. Or maybe it's a cover up like a blanket for this cold soul. Living in reality like life without parole. I don't wanna keep living like this. I can't face reality, so I just reminisce about a good time.
I'm sitting counting memories in a motel, watching the time just slip away, trying to drink away my reality. I tell my troubles to the bottle cause it don't tell. But it ain't got too much to say, and so I'm stuck right here in my reality, trying to tell it to the bottle. Oh man, I tell it to the bottle. I tell it to the bottle. Oh man, I tell it to the bottle.
Get back up, load my truck, face my fears, get out of this mug. Everybody's got them problems, gotta fight them so you don't get stuck. I don't need to drown, fucking clown. Put the bottle down, bourbon brown, leave this town. Time to turn my life around. Pull away from that light, I just wanna feel alive. Man, it just feels so right.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Crusade Cast. This is your favorite host, The Reaper. Oh man, enjoying some good old American songs here, guys. Oh man, I love patriotic songs. So, oh man, welcome. Good to see everybody. Let me go ahead and take this off for now. So, I wanted to discuss tonight, everybody. This is going to be a political topic, one of our political podcasts. And the reason why is because something happened that I actually didn't think was going to happen. So I do want to discuss it because honestly, I didn't really think Iran was going to come to the table. Apparently, they did. And Trump actually got a deal signed. At least it's supposed to be formally signed tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, formally signed when this comes out. It's going to be today, Friday. This recording, obviously, it's a little ahead of schedule. It's the day before, so this is actually Thursday night, but when this airs, it's going to be tomorrow night. So I'm going to act like it is. So today is actually the day that it should be signed formally, because according to what they're saying, the MOU has already been signed. For those of you who aren't aware of what the MOU stands for, it's Memorandum of Understanding. So I actually thought I'd go over the some of the terms on the deal. Now, I'm not going to go over everything. That'll be for another time. But I wanted to update people and let them know, hey, there is a peace deal that is apparently already signed, and the formal signing is going to be today, Friday. So, believe it or not, I honestly didn't think this day was going to come. So, I wanted to show. So, I pulled up the Obama deal with Iran versus the Trump deal with Iran because this whole war, I hate to say, I kind of feel like America really lost this war. Like, I mean, in some aspects, I feel like we won, but it kind of seems to me like this deal is just taking us back to what we had. Now, maybe it's because I haven't gone over every little detail, but a lot of what's on here that I've been seeing kind of strikes me as a little bit of what Obama did. I'm not even a Democrat. And at this point, I probably lean more towards the independent side than I do full on Republican, just because a lot of Republicans are hardcore MAGA. And I don't know. I just get this gut feeling that Trump might not be for 100% the best interest for me, but I dang sure know the Democratic Party ain't the best interest for me. I think it's a game, but if you were to look at the two parties, the Republican Party best represents my views. The only thing is they seem to have a little bit, they seem to have a section of the base that's hardcore for Trump. And don't get me wrong, Trump's an entertaining president. He's not politically correct at all, which is kind of the appeal to Trump. If I'm being honest, I mean, that's what the appeal was. He wasn't a standard politician. And, I think he does do a decent job as far as like, hey, the country's a business. We're going to run it like a business. And in certain aspects, that's true, right? I mean, the country has to make negotiations, it has to see where it's making money, and it has to see how to distribute money. But it should be taking care of its people, treating its people fair, and trying to see how it can benefit all the way around. Because government, obviously, I get it. They need to bring in some money so that they can pay their staff, their people, and the president needs a nice, hefty salary. The roads need to be taken care of, law enforcement, firefighters, etc. You have all these things that need to be done. So, okay, I get it. They need to make their money. So, in a way, yeah, President of the United States is running a business. It's a very important one, but that's what really made Trump appealing. He wasn't a typical politician. He wasn't for PC, and he was a businessman. And to be honest with you, he does really well. He did really well until the war. I think he was doing what he promised he was going to do, but somewhere along the line, I think he just kind of started, turning a little bit. But whatever the case, we have an Iran peace deal. And I kind of want to go over the Obama one first and then start looking at 10 points on Trump's and see if there's really major differences or not. So let me go ahead and get this little camera on, and then let's go from there. I'm going to go ahead and lower this. So So I pulled this up because I just wanted to get some of the terms on Trump's deal. Obviously, these are all the things that popped up for it because it's major news, and I get it, everybody wants to be the first ones to put it out. But so this was Obama's nuclear deal back in 2015. So the 2015 Iran nuclear deal is the JCPOA, required Iran to limit its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief, which with strict verification and monitoring to ensure peaceful use. Excuse me. But that part right there kind of sounds like what Trump just did. The only thing that I can possibly see that you would probably say that would be a little different is depending on how much enrichment they're allowed to do. At this point, I think it's clear. I don't think America really, I don't really think America is going to put boots on the ground to stop them. I mean, who knows? But I think they're going to be able to enrich a lot higher than what Obama did. But let's read it. The nuclear program restrictions for this deal was Iran agreed to significantly reduce its nuclear activities, including limiting uranium enrichment to 3.67% and reducing its stockpile of enriched uranium to 300 kilograms. It also dismantled 2/3 of its centrifuge and converted key facilities such as the Fordo enrichment site to non-weapons purposes. So, okay, I mean, look, enriching uranium for non-weapon purposes, to my understanding, that's a normal thing, and they do have international treaties. Or international treaties. So yeah, I mean, you can't. This is why I got agitated because they're like, hey, we don't want enrichment. But as much as I'm not a fan of Iran because I have no stake with Iran, my stake is with America. Iran had a right to enrich uranium. They had treaties for this. They had agreements towards this. So where America just jumped off saying, hey, they're not allowed to enrich uranium and they're at weapons grade. Well, yeah, I mean, you tore up the deal, Trump. I mean, you got to at least be honest. You tore up the original deal that Obama did, which, was a pretty decent deal. I don't know all the ins and outs, but at least these things here all seemed, you know, basic. So it's verification and monitoring. The deal established a comprehensive inspection regime under the International Atomic Energy Agency. Iran granted access to nuclear facilities, allowed continuous monitoring, and implemented the additional protocol providing expanded information and access to ensure transparency. Sanction relief. In exchange for compliance, Iran received relief from nuclear-related economic sanctions. This included unfreezing assets, lifting restrictions on oil exports, and enabling international trade, contingent on verification that Iran had met its obligations. That kind of sounds like what Trump's saying. He's giving them sanction relief. They're allowed to enrich, but they're going to be under strict, surveillance. So, I mean, as of right now, a lot of this is key. It also says it unfroze their assets when it came to Obama. Trump's doing the same thing. Trump is doing the exact same thing. He's unfreezing Iran's assets. So let's keep reading. I mean, maybe there's something else in here. It says duration and compliance. The agreement included phased limits lasting 10 to 25 years, depending on the specific provision. Compliance was verified before sanctions relief was granted, such as shipping out 25,000 pounds of enriched uranium and allowing extensive inspections. Purposes and safeguard. The JCPOA aimed to block all pathways for Iran to develop the nuclear weapon while allowing a peaceful nuclear program. It included mechanisms for snapback sanctions if Iran violated the terms, ensuring accountability and international oversight. Okay, I mean that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think this is going to be the whole thing. I think this is just kind of a basic overview, of what's there. But let's look at Trump's, right? So, where is? Oh, crud! Did I accidentally click out of it? Oh no. Okay, so we are here. Let's get rid of this one. So this is like 10 things that are on Trump's. Okay. So let's look at it. So one is reopening the Strait of Hormuz. So this is a pre-war condition. So to me, this isn't really a win because they closed the Strait of Hormuz because we started a war with them, because we attacked them. So realistically, this being part of it, that's just pre-war condition. That's not really a win. Because we're the reason why they closed it to begin with. I mean, it's a plus, don't get me wrong, that we're going back to having the Strait of Hormuz open. So, I mean, that's obviously a great thing, but they only closed it because of us. So this is a pre-war condition. Number two, no new financial sanctions against Iran until a deal is reached. So, I mean, all that's saying is they're not going to continue to sanction them until the deal's reached. They already reached a deal. So, as far as that's concerned, it is what it is. They already reached the deal. Three, all U.S. and UN sanctions against Iran must be lifted. So this is going to be lifted. Now, according to the vice president, you have to understand the vice president said this is all behavior, this is all conditional depending on their behavior, depending on if they're complying. So, but that's what Obama stated. They went in there before they relieved any sanctions. They would go in there, they would pull out their uranium. They had strict inspections. That actually sounds a lot like the Obama deal. Once I have a chance to go through it deeper, I'll let you know. I just wanted to show you guys like there's a very big uh, comparison between the Obama and Trump deal. U.S. must waive oil sanctions for a specified period. Obviously, that's why they said it's based on how they behave. Just for lack of better wording, UN must release 25 billion of Iran's frozen assets. Once again, Obama did the same thing. Obama unfroze assets. All that means is that's Iranians' money. That's Iran's money. We just froze it because of the sanctions and other things like that. Well, I could be wrong about, we froze it due to sanctions. I'm just assuming that we froze it because of the sanctions and other things of that nature. But, they're releasing billions just like Obama did. So I don't know. Trump can't sit here on one end and say Obama gave them billions of dollars when, to my understanding, Obama was giving them, and what he was doing was unfreezing their assets, and he was just giving that to them. But it sounds like Trump's doing the same thing, but he's making sure everybody knows, hey, this was their money. It was just frozen. But then when Obama does it, it's kind of like, oh no, he handed them billions of dollars. It's like, yeah, but you're doing it too, but it's frozen assets. And maybe not all of that may have been Iran's frozen assets when Obama was in play. I don't know. When he was in president, I don't know. But to my understanding, it was because it was frozen assets. So they had to give it back after an agreement was reached. So, okay. Once again, that looks like Obama's thing. U.S. to prepare a reconstruction and development plan for Iran. Well, here's where it gets a little weird because Obama may have unfrozen their assets and gave them their billions of dollars back. Trump has actually come up with a plan, and depending on how well Iran behaves, they're going to give 300 billion to Iran to help them rebuild and restructure. Now, you could literally say that if Obama, and I say if all Obama did was unfreeze Iran's assets, then all he did was give back Iran's money. So he didn't really give them billions of dollars, if that's the case. But here, this is literally Trump saying, look, if you guys behave and you be good children, I'm going to give you $300 billion just for being good children. And it's going to help you build and restructure and this and that. And so he's literally giving them, billions of dollars, which is what he claimed Obama did. And look, once again, I prefer Trump in office than Kamala Harris. I will always lean more conservative, but I also got to call it for what it is. You're giving Iran billions of dollars just to behave, or it's depending on them behaving. This isn't you just handing them their frozen assets anymore. This is you giving hard-working American dollars to Iran. So I'm not happy about that. I don't agree with just giving them money. I mean, we just destroyed we tried to destroy their military sites. We destroyed their whatever Air Force they had. It's not a major Air Force. I mean, they're not known for anything. They haven't really advanced in God knows how long. We destroyed their ships. I mean, giving them $300 billion to spend on whatever just kind of seems irresponsible of us, especially when the whole point of us to do this was to hinder them for years to come. But it sounds like we're giving them money to just rebuild it all back up and bring everything back up to code and dump that money into other stuff. So I'm not really a fan of this. To me, this kind of seems hypocritical, but that's just me. Iran won't produce or acquire nuclear weapons. Kind of sounds like the Obama deal. Kind of sounds like, but let's read this section because I am curious. Iran agreed as part of the deal never to produce or acquire nuclear weapons. That they had already done that. That tenet was perhaps the most important for Trump, who justified his foray into the Islamic Republic by falsely claiming that Iran was exceptionally close to producing nuclear weapons. He and War Secretary Pete Hegseth claimed that their February strikes, which killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and wounded his son, the new Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, as well as several members of their families, also obliterated what remained of Iran's nuclear sites. That follows claims by both that strikes from last summer eradicated the very same sites, rendering them utterly useless. Trump went on to claim that Iran still possessed a modicum of highly enriched uranium, which, if on Earth, could still be used in the creation of nuclear weapons. He teased operations that would seize that highly enriched uranium several times, but they were never carried out. Once again, all this is telling me is they're not to produce a nuclear weapon, which they already agreed to. Number 8, Iran will maintain the current status of its civilian nuclear program. They had that under Obama. I'm not seeing anything different here, other than what Obama's done so far. Let's check out the last two that's on this list. U.S. agrees to allow Iran to dilute stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Okay, I mean, they're just saying to dilute it, so to lessen the percentage is what I'm understanding. We'll read this just in case. The dilution will be carried out on Iranian soil under a comprehensive agreement, the tenets of which have yet to be agreed upon. It wasn't immediately clear whether discussions on that agreement would be taken place during the 60-day negotiation. Okay, so anyways, it's just diluting. I'm assuming you guys know what diluting means. So if it's at 60%, they're going to do what they can to dilute that, which would mean to just bring that purity of 60%. And I'm using purity just because it's the best word I know how to use. And I guess they're looking to contaminate it more or just weaken it, so that way it drops from 60 to maybe 40 or 30. And then 10, all facets of Iran's nuclear program to be negotiated during final deal talks. So this is just like a 10-point thing. Guys, I gotta be honest. I mean, all of that is very similar. All of that is very, give me 1 second, guys. There we go. All of this is incredibly similar to what Obama did. And once again, I lean more on the right, but I have to be fair. Fair is fair. I wasn't in huge agreement to this war, but I was like, hey, if Trump really believes this and he's really serious, he's going to go all in. And it kind of struck me as once he realized what was going to need to be done, even he was kind of like, hey, man, I don't believe that they're really right there to get a nuclear weapon. It seems like he changed his mind. And then he's like, okay, let's talk. Let's have a deal. I didn't think Iran was really going to come to the table. They didn't really seem like they had a reason to. But maybe, but then again, maybe they're like, look, we technically won this. They're negotiating us to get back to the Obama deal. They're also sweetening the deal by giving us $300 billion extra dollars. They're on freezing our assets, so they're about to get a killing from us. They're telling us to play nice and make allies with the rest of the nations around here. So I think that they're saying that Iran is, like, one of the parts of the deal is that they're to build their relations with the UAE, etc. To me, this is kind of I don't know if this deal is going to last, how long it's going to last, because I know Israel's not happy, and Israel has a lot of major players here in America. I'm actually surprised Trump went through with this. But to be honest, it's a breath of fresh air to see that he's doing something that is upsetting Israel and that they're not cool with, unless it's part of the game, which I honestly think the political politics here, it's all just a game. I think what's going to happen is going to happen. It's already been determined to an extent. At least that's what it feels like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I keep going with Democrat and Republican. I keep breaking it down to which side I'd prefer, because if I'm wrong, I'm letting you know, hey, this is where I lean. But if Trump really thought, and there was a lot of shady things that happened in the election when Joe Biden won. That's true. Nobody can contest that. There were a lot of shady things. But if Trump really thought that they rigged the election, I'm surprised he ran again. If they rigged it once, they could rig it again. So I don't know. It just when he ran that second or that third time, I just kind of felt like it was like his claims were just at that point they were just nullified. It's like because why would you run if they rigged the system prior? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he put up people of his own. I don't know. But it just feels like a big game. But the reason why I showed you that is because this is the reason why I honestly think that America lost this war, because we negotiated to get back to pretty much the Obama peace deal. And once I have a chance to go through the entire peace deal that they're going to be signing today, I'll do another video going through it extensively so everybody will be able to see exactly what's going on, because it's important that you guys know that's just a 10 piece, that's just 10 terms that we're going to be on that deal that they believe we're going to be on that deal. So a lot of that just seems like basic Obama treaty. Now, I know people are looking forward to having relief at the pumps and hopefully having relief at grocery stores and other stores. And I am too. Nobody wants to go to a store and pay that much money for anything. I don't blame people for that. I mean, who does? But this video it's an emergency because people need to know an Iran deal is imminent. So we're officially going to be out of war, which is a wonderful thing because things can go back to kind of normal. And I say kind of because raids are actually still happening. They were having protests in, I think it was New Jersey, and it was getting pretty violent. Now I don't know 100% if people were arrested, if that's how violent it got, but it's good to know that he's still in the background trying to do raids, because that was my biggest issue with Trump. You ran on immigration, dude. Build that damn wall and start deporting people in such numbers that it cleans up this country. I'm sorry if you're here illegally. I don't know if you're doing crimes. I don't know who you are. And if you've been here for over 10 years and you've never tried to get your citizenship, then you're useless to the country. And I don't even know how it's a defensible position at that point that you're like, yeah, but they've been here 10 years. Yeah, they've been here 10 years and they've never gotten a visa, anything. I'm sorry, but at some point, enough's enough. You're just taking our money and you're sending it back to your home country at that point. I don't have any kind of sympathy when it comes to illegal immigrants, unless you're coming here seeking asylum and you fit what asylum seekers need in order to legally be allowed entry into our country. If you are seeking asylum and you are in need and you fit that, then yes, come in. If you want to come in legally, absolutely come in legally. But anybody that is illegal, it is unacceptable. You do not get to break the law, cut in line, because there are people waiting all over the world to come in and to immigrate here legally. And when you do that and you cut the line just because of our borders are attached, you cut the line, you come here, and then you get your visas and stuff. You're cutting other people in line who are doing things right and who have probably waited years. I'm sorry. It is an indefensible position. And the thing that I don't understand is Democrats are always saying what a horrible country this is, what a racist and bigoted country this is, and just what a disgusting country. And they're not happy with this country. But yet at the same point, you're like, let's let these poor people in. Let's let these people who come from like just horrific countries also go from one horrific country to the next. This is why I don't get along with Democrats. They're hypocrites. On one end, they're like, hey, I love life. We need to take care of life. We need to protect life. And on the other hand, yeah, kill your kids. You go, girl. Woman power. Abort your child. Bunch of hypocrites. Give up your guns. We don't believe in guns. Yeah, let's defund the police. We can't trust the police. Bunch of retards. And then they're like, well, we don't believe in Christianity. Yeah, but this whole country was based on Christianity. Benjamin Franklin, I believe, is who stated it, that without a Christian foundation, this country it won't function. And you're seeing it. This country is running into things that it doesn't really know how to deal with. Marriage was supposed to be between one man and one woman. Why? Well, one, it was biblical because that's how Christ designed it. But two, if you're the government, you're supposed to be doing what's beneficial for the country. Having two gays marry is not beneficial. Gay people cannot have children. What makes a country great? There's a lot of things, but you need to have next generations in order to have a country. If you don't have people procreating, you don't have a country in the future. That's common freaking sense. But the Democrats are all for, hey, gay power. Well, I'm sorry. This makes no sense. How's a political party sitting here trying to push an ideology that is going to kill the growth of the country? This is why I say the politics here is a game, because why would politicians be helping to push agendas that don't benefit the growth and the unity of a country? Instead, the left is always preaching about how we need to stay divided and how the blacks are being oppressed, even though there's nothing that black people can do that I can't do. If anything, black people seem to be getting away with certain things in some of these cities. There have been black people getting arrested after killing a person. I'll pull up some cases for you in one of our future videos, but I can't tell you how many cases I've looked at where a black person kills somebody and they're like, yeah, he was taken to court several times and they let him go. He was convicted of I don't know how many crimes and he was let go. But they're over here saying that black people are oppressed. You're not oppressed. If you were oppressed, there'd be no rich black people. I know several black people that are awesome. I know several. One of them is currently working on his journey to make money. He's a great friend of mine. The other friend of mine, he's a property owner or a property manager. Works very hard, wakes up early in the morning, works out. Sophisticated guy, a guy of class, dresses really nice, conducts himself very professional, is always clean shaved. Another one of my friends came here, was a police officer for most of his career, got into real estate, then became a personal trainer. These guys are killing it, man. They're killing it. So I'm sorry when people say that, the black community is oppressed. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. You need to make better choices. But the Democratic Party will have every freaking race, every sex, and every which way you can. They want you to be divided, but then they want you to be united in the fact that you hate each other. And these white liberal women seem to be the loudest ones of them all, that are going out there and think that they're doing something and fighting for their country. And it's like, no, you're stupid. You need to shut up. You give women a bad name. You do. Because these women that don't want to have kids want to treat everybody else like it's like all these groups are their children. Let me go out there and fight for these people that are minorities. They need someone to take care of them. How about you have your own child? You go take care of your own child, you grow your family, and you leave everybody else to take care of themselves, because that's what freedom is. Freedom is it's based on the individual. You make your own choices, and in America, depending on the choices you make, you can go very far. But hey, there's two ways to that. Depending on the choices you make, you can also get locked up for a long time and not go anywhere. But that's why I don't align with the Democratic Party. They're a bunch of hypocrites and mentally ill people. I'll be honest with you. If I was a minority and I saw I could make money off of race baiting, if I wasn't Christian, I would do that. Why not? Why not play off the emotions of all these stupid people, of all these mentally ill people? Why not? You're telling me if I didn't believe in God and I can make millions of dollars looking at all these stupid people and just like playing along, if I was worldly, I would do that. And then I would take that money and I would invest it in VR so that all these losers who aren't going to go anywhere, because they are losers, I'm going to be very clear, they are losers. I would invest that money into VR. I would get virtual reality to such a point where people would hate reality and they would love being in their VR realities. That way you go to work, you live your peasant jobs. And I say peasant because these people aren't looking to make more. If you have time to fight the police, if you have time to fight ICE, if you have time to go out and riot, I'm sorry, you're losers. You don't have jobs. And if you do, you're probably part-time and they don't give a crap about you anyways. You know, my wife went up to New Jersey, said she wanted to have children and she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I couldn't believe that she actually had to defend that point of view. And I'm scratching my head because when she gets back and she tells me, and she's like, I really didn't think that was going to be a big issue. And I'm just like, why would it be a big issue? Well, she's like, I had to explain myself to many different people. Now, it doesn't mean that these people were attacking her. It just means she was surprised that it seemed to be confusing. And it's like, yeah, why would it be confusing? The society should be making laws based off of what makes society run best. Well, look at the two sexes, look at the two genders. And for all you left-wing fucking retards, and excuse my language, but you guys get me so upset. For all you freaking idiots that are like, well, there's like 79 genders. Shut up. This isn't a channel for you. This isn't a channel for you. Two genders, two sexes. That's it. Male, female, boy, girl. Don't care what you got to say. There's not 79. There's not 100. You're a bunch of losers. I don't care. Shut up. But anyways, you know, if I was a politician, I'd be looking at our nation. I'd be like, look, we have two different genders. How could we structure society to benefit America and to help these two unique genders function better together? One, marriage is between a man and a woman. Why? I don't even need to use a biblical reason. They're the only ones that can create offspring to benefit our country. Two, I would be creating laws to benefit women who wanted to be stay-at-home mothers. Why? Because I want the next generation to be taught by a loving parent. Why do you want to send them off to daycare with so many sick people out there? You don't know when your kids are being molested. You don't know what these people are teaching your kids. So I would be looking at, well, what can I do to incentivize women to want to stay at home and take care of their kids? And here's the thing, a lot of women out there, especially women who are not religious, they're when you say stay at home, they literally think be a slave at home, never come out, you're stuck, you do what your husband says, you're a bunch of morons. Because in no way, shape, or form do most men, when they say we want our wives to be stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home wives, do we mean you're trapped in the house, you're bound to the house, we're going to handcuff you to the house, and you do what I say? That's not what it means at all. It just means you don't work, you help to upkeep the home, but you get to go out with your friends if you want to go out. You have access to the funds in the account, people. A lot of women who are married that want to be stay-at-home moms, their husbands are not going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to hold on to the financial card and you don't do a damn thing unless I say." No. Most guys aren't like that. Most guys are like, "Look, I want you to stay at home and I want you to live a carefree life. I want you to have a good life. Let me be the one to go work 2 jobs if I have to, so that you can live a better quality life." Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of guys that are growing up, they don't have any integrity, they don't have any morals, they don't have any honor. They'll be more than happy to let a woman go work while they stay home. If I wasn't a Christian, if I didn't believe in God, if I didn't believe that I was the head of the household, and I thought, women power, go ahead, run the household. Sure, it'd be a great deal for me. Go work, sweetheart. I'll stay home. I'll stay home. I'll upkeep this house like nothing. I'll get a system going. We have kids? Yeah, sure. I'll deal with a whiny little brat. Absolutely. That little brat's only going to be that age for so long, and then I'm still going to be stay at home. Depending on how many kids, you have. Okay, we have a rough 3, 4, maybe 5 years. After that, it's gravy. And that's not even full-time roughness. But that's if I was somebody that just didn't care. But because I love God, because I believe in God, God has actually structured what a marriage should be. God, husband, wife, children. And it's not because the woman is less valuable than the man. It's because he's giving you the structure. In anything, there has to be a head. There has to be. When you guys don't agree on personal decisions or on family decisions, somebody has to be the tiebreaker. That's a fact. Somebody has to be the tie. You can't go and be like, well, we don't agree. We don't agree. Like, no, you can't. There are decisions out there that are going to need to be made. Someone's going to have to make the hard choice, and somebody's going to have to get the final say. But it just baffles me, because if I was a politician, that's what I would be doing. And this is why I say these political parties are a joke. Like, I don't even know how the Democratic Party is still this powerful. They represent nothing but garbage. They push women to kill their kids, yet the American birth rates are in the dumps. But you're pushing your women and you're encouraging them to kill their kids instead of encouraging them to make better choices. Hey, look, having sex, you can get pregnant. Maybe it's a better decision to not have sex until you find the person that you love, or until you find somebody that you're in a serious relationship with, or unless you're financially ready to take on that responsibility. And these are all worldly suggestions, right? But like I said, I'm making I'm making these things based off of a worldly view that they could possibly be Christian views, right? And the reason being is because it's just common sense. So if women are the only ones that can procreate, you have to do what's going to incentivize them to do what only they can do. And guys are built differently. They're stronger. They typically have better agility, better stamina. Their bodies are built very differently. So then what can I do to get the American male off his rear end and go to work? Well, I can try to structure society in a way where, hey, jobs are paying enough. Inflation is trying to be controlled. We can come together as politicians and we can figure this out. But you always shape society around what's going to be beneficial for society and for the country. So when you're pushing gay marriage, they can't reproduce. Why are we pushing this? They can't reproduce. So therefore, you shouldn't get the privilege and the honor of being married. I'm sorry, certain positions have duties. If you want to be together with a same-sex gender or same-sex person, then hey, guess what? You can have a domestic partnership. You'll have some benefits, but because you're not a party that can benefit America by giving it offspring, you do not get the title of marriage. Marriage comes with the ultimate set of benefits. You guys don't fit that. You can't benefit America in that way. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be together if you don't want to, because remember, these laws, they have to be made around the population, and giving them domestic partnership is not a big deal. But the only reason why they were pushing to give them marriage is to slap the Christian community in their face. Because they know this is a Christian nation, and by giving them marriage, which is supposed to be a covenant before God, they're essentially saying, F you Christians. And the Christians, which is why Andrew Tate got so mad and he decided to convert to Muslim, is because Christians sit on their idle tushies, they complain, and instead of getting out there and going into the political sphere, making your coalitions, actually fighting, one day all the Christians are going to wake up and they're either one, they're going to be taken up by the rapture, which hopefully it happens before things get horrible, or two, they're going to be enslaved and persecuted. And the thing is we didn't need to let it get to that if we would have just fought and took back our country. But because we're not going to fight, because Christians have been brainwashed into thinking everything can just be, all fuzzy and words. And don't get me wrong, I'm not calling for violence, but there might be a time where that's called for. Might be. But Christians, just like a lot of Republicans, they've become very sissified. They're not willing to go out there and do the hard work anymore. You read the Bible, you had churches that were under real persecution. You look back in our history, I'm thinking like, hey, let's do the Crusades. We have no choice. Little by little, we're going to be persecuted. The Muslims are a growing population. They're having offspring. You look at the cities, they're filled with left-leaning lunatics, these retards that are like anti-everything. But the Republicans and the Christians are sitting idly by like, law, do your thing. Yeah, but law's not doing nothing. So, but anyways, I kind of went on a tangent there. I start going sometimes, and I'm sorry, I can't help it. I start thinking about the Democratic Party, and I'm like, how is this even a freaking party? How? But it goes to show you how far America has turned into mental illness. It goes to show you. Because years ago, that wouldn't have even been a conceived thing. Gays getting married would never have been an afterthought. Gays being able to adopt, I couldn't even fathom it. Men wanting to be women, and then actually society's trying to bend to that. Like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying give them electroshock therapy, but what I am saying is that they're mentally ill. This man actually believes he's a woman and he actually wants to go into the female locker room and play female sports. That is a fucking mental delusion. And once again, excuse the language, but I can't believe that we have entire communities that are willing to fight for these people to be mentally retarded, to be mentally ill. You have bunches of women lined up to fight for these transgender people and to protect them instead of looking at them and saying, look, I feel for you. You hate yourself. And before you kill yourself, because you have a 50% chance of doing that, let's get you help. And instead of attacking it when it's younger, when I say attacking, I mean just dealing with the issue, they want to protect kids that they say are trans. No, they're kids. What's going on is kids, like everything else, they need guidance. So when they're kids and they're confused, that's the time to help them. That's the time to sit there and say, no, 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 let's talk. Talk to me. Let me tell you why you're not that gender and that sex. Let me explain to you why I understand you might be confused now, but we need to help you come to grips with who you really are and why you need to love yourself, because that community there has a 50% suicide rate, and it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Go look at the stats. This is why I tell you, these liberal freaking women, I will go on Facebook to these pages and I'll say something basic. Look, I feel for these mentally ill people, the mentally ill people here, they need help. And I can't tell you how many, and it's usually women. And that's why I'm emphasizing women, because it's usually a woman that'll come up and say, "How dare you?" and try to actually defend these people. And I can almost guarantee you most of these women probably have no kids and they're looking for somebody to take care of. Well, but let's just say that's not the case. Why is it that there are so many women that are empathetic towards mental illness? And instead of addressing it, they want the society to bend to these people's mental illness. This is why I say hard decisions are going to be needed in this country. And it may not be something that's going to be comfortable with everybody, because that in of itself is such a mental illness that they would rather you be forced to live with that insanity than them actually confront it and say, look, this is crazy. I'm sorry. It's nuts. We need to help you. And if I was a politician, those people would hate me, because I would be putting them on blast every day. And I would be exposing them for the mental illness people that they are. And I'm talking about transgender because at least gay people, they know what they are. They know what they are. They just have this, I guess you could say, this attraction for the same sex. I mean, you read the Bible and it's like, it's kind of a demented thing, but, and I call it that because it's the Bible's clear on this. I don't agree with it, or I don't agree with that lifestyle that they have. But it's like, okay, fine, you're attracted to the other sex, but when you follow God, you're supposed to fight against those things. So God gave us and created us after his image. The only creatures that have the form of intellect that we do is humans. He gave us that for a reason. I think it is fair to say that if you get married to a same sex, and then you're going to church and you're like, I'm going to heaven. I'm telling you, just out of common sense, I don't think you're going to heaven. I don't think you're going to be saved. And this is not me trying to be controversial. It's just because every day you're supposed to try to fight sin. But when you get up and you're like, hey, I'm going to church and I love my partner, and I have no intention of ever leaving my partner as the Bible says I should, and I have no intention of feeling sorry for what I'm doing, at that point, it's like, well, yeah, but the Bible's kind of clear. Granted, he's the only one that can make that end decision, but to me, it's like I can make a judgment call off of what I'm seeing based off what the Bible says. I commit sins, but I don't plan on committing them every day. I don't go to sleep knowing that I'm going to commit a sin. Well, a particular sin, and be like, hey, God, I love you, but you know what? Tonight I'm going to go to sleep in a gay marriage, and tomorrow I'm going to wake up in a gay marriage, and I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. Like that's a little different. We fall into sins and temptations, but you you don't go into it planning it. Like these folks are literally planning it. They're planning their whole lives around it. So yeah, I don't agree with the lifestyle, and many people may not agree with that. That's fine. It doesn't mean we can't run a country to accommodate these individuals, but it does mean that if you're a politician, you need to look out for the country. You need to do what's in the best interest of the country and the citizens. But that's too common sense and too intelligent for many people to understand and follow. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I hope you guys have a wonderful night. This has been your favorite host, The Reaper, with the Crusade Cast. Out.